Hey guys, it's Jordan with TYT Politics. I hope everyone's doing okay. I am home now from Miami and Orlando, where I covered Tim Canova's campaign down in the Miami area, and I also covered Alan Grayson in the Orlando area. All those interviews are up on TYT Politics. I interviewed Tim Canova multiple times actually, and I also interviewed Alan Grayson in person. So hope you guys check that out on TYT Politics. I wanted to touch on Bernie Sanders, who gave a live stream speech last night to kick off his new organization called Our Revolution. And I should start by saying I know a lot of you won't like the title I put on this report saying Bernie Sanders disses Tim Canova. But if you know me and my style, I don't really beat around the bush, and I don't make excuses for people, even if it's politicians that I might admire myself. So at the end of the day, Bernie Sanders, if you missed it, gave a speech in Burlington, Vermont. It was live streamed across the country. People, Bernie Sanders supporters, progressives, a lot of the people in this movement gathered among friends, among family groups for Our Revolution watch parties. I was invited to a few, but frankly, I was just exhausted from being on the road for 3 weeks and watched from home. But bottom line, there's a few takeaways, but let me first get to what stood out to me. As I've reported and as you've seen, Bernie Sanders has kind of went into the dark. Went dark for Tim Canova down in crunch time. Tim Canova's primary against Debbie Wasserman Schultz is this coming Tuesday, which is 5 days away. Now, I was down there, and I could tell you from seeing it up close, Tim Canova, who has raised a lot of money, but he does not have super PACs backing him up. He does not have super PACs flooding Florida with money right now that he could use against Debbie Wasserman Schultz. So basically, Tim Canova, who essentially told me straight up, I'm waiting for Bernie to call me back.
Look, when Bernie endorsed me, he called me up, gave me his number, and said, stay in touch and please call. And I have, and I'm waiting for Bernie to return my call, and not just Bernie, a couple of people very high up in his camp
Had openly asked for Bernie to come down and campaign for him, and had openly asked for, at the minimum, another fundraising email from Bernie to try to get a little cash infusion, because it's very difficult down in any type of political race if the airwaves are flooded with attack ads on you, which right now Debbie Wasserman Schultz, who's trying to hang on for dear life, is flooding the airwaves with negative ads about Tim Canova. So basically, Canova was sending out a lifeline in interviews with me for Bernie to help. Now, that's not to say Bernie hasn't, up to this point, helped him. Bernie Sanders sending out fundraising emails helped Tim Canova raise a lot of money. In national television interviews, Bernie Sanders has mentioned Tim Canova's name several times. Bernie Sanders also, in national television interviews, said he planned on campaigning for Tim Canova. A lot of people don't realize also that as much money comes in when a Bernie Sanders sends out a fundraising email for Tim Canova, or goes on national television and says, I plan on campaigning for Tim Canova, more money also comes in on the other side, because when Debbie Wasserman Schultz hears that, when establishment Democrats hears that, when her super PACs supporting Debbie Wasserman Schultz hears that, they get cash infusion. It's kind of like a defense play when Bernie Sanders telegraphs that he will be actively involved. So what happened last night, after my interview with Tim Canova, where he essentially called out Bernie for, I need you, Bernie, I need your help. We're 5 days away. It's a close race. Bernie Sanders, during his Our Revolution speech, previewing what the organization would be about, he named 5 candidates of many, but he spotlighted 5 candidates who they were particularly interested in supporting. Zephyr Teachout, who I've interviewed, is a very progressive candidate running in New York. Bernie mentioned her, and he mentioned 4 other candidates who I have heard less about, but I'm sure we'll be hearing about. Absent from that mention was Tim Canova. We're not talking about Tim Canova running for election in November when there's still a little time. Tim Canova's race is in 5 days. Bernie Sanders didn't just forget Tim Canova. Bernie Sanders didn't forget to mention Tim Canova. This was a deliberate choice by Bernie Sanders not to mention Tim Canova. So, I've written a few things on Facebook and gotten some responses defending Bernie Sanders, this and that. I want to make something clear. I'm not here, to give commentary attacking Bernie Sanders. That's not what this is. But it is my job to inform you of what Bernie has said and done, or not said and done, and also give you some explanations on why I think that is. And of course, I will also give my take. So here's the bottom line. Bernie Sanders obviously deserves a ton of credit. He has galvanized a new generation of progressives to care about politics, to feel like they have a place in this country and they could actually create change by standing up and fighting back. But at the end of the day, if you watch Game of Thrones, if you know anything about war or battle, at the end of the day, I mean, the most important thing is being there in crunch time when it matters most. Bernie Sanders is not there for Mr. Canova in crunch time. So I will perfectly be happy to come on and say I was wrong if Bernie Sanders surprises us all and goes down there this weekend to campaign for him, or sends out another fundraising email to try to help him get some extra cash on hand to make some last minute ads, or whatever Tim would spend it on. But as of now, Bernie Sanders has gone dark for Tim Canova in the final weeks of his campaign. And last night, with a very big audience on the internet, Bernie Sanders left out his name. There is no bigger progressive race in the country right now than Tim Canova, who's a law professor trying to take down Debbie Wasserman Schultz, who, bottom line, is the number 2 most hated person in this country among progressives. I'd argue Hillary Clinton is number 1. Debbie Wasserman Schultz is a symbol for everything that is wrong with establishment politics, and Tim Canova defeating Debbie Wasserman Schultz would have a humongous effect among the progressive movement. We could talk about revolution till we're blue in the face, and I support the principles of Bernie's revolution, but at a certain point you need to start winning some electoral battles as well, and Tim Canova does have a chance. Now, polling has been kind of tough to evaluate down there because, some of the polls have been commissioned by super PACs supporting Debbie Wasserman Schultz. Some of the polls, honestly, were commissioned by Tim Canova's campaign. And then some polls, not commissioned by either campaign, but done by newspapers, only polled 400 people. And their methodology doesn't really cater to young people who would be probably voting for Canova. So the last poll had him down 10 percentage points. The bottom line is, I would think it's closer to a 5 to 7 point race. So Bernie Sanders, both campaigning for Tim Canova, but also helping him fundraise in this final stretch, is important. So for people in comments or who have already said to me, Bernie's done enough, and Bernie is supporting 100 candidates, so him not supporting Tim Canova, who am I to tell Bernie what to do? I'm not telling Bernie what to do. I'm just telling you what's at stake. Because I don't think many people could argue that this particular race is, if not the most important race right now, it's up there. I also think that regardless of Debbie Wasserman Schultz, financially, if someone like Tim Canova, who has taken the Bernie model, I mean, he's raised almost $3 million without taking a dime from super PACs or corporate interests. If he could beat Debbie Wasserman Schultz, who, despite not liking her, let's just say she lives off of big money, if he could beat her, that is a huge jolt to this movement. That is a huge victory for this movement. So Bernie Sanders not really actively trying to help Tim Canova in this final stretch, frankly, it is a diss. It's a deliberate decision not to help him. Now, I don't have confirmation or any special reporting to tell you why Bernie has decided to go this route. I'm not going to speculate on it. There's many reasons and theories for why he didn't. my take, and it's only my take. It's not informed by confirmation. I have spoken with a lot of people down in Florida who are in the know. I've spoken with people in Bernie's campaign. So, I know the players, and I know enough to kind of have an informed opinion. The bottom line is Bernie Sanders doesn't go from hot to cold for no reason. In front of thousands of people online last night, not mentioning Canova is a deliberate decision. And my take is that Bernie Sanders was either asked not to actively campaign or get involved with this campaign by Hillary Clinton and the establishment Democrats, who, as of recent weeks, he and his campaign have started to play nice with and unify with. That is the most probable reason. Bernie Sanders might have made a deal that when Debbie Wasserman Schultz stepped down from the Democratic National Committee the week of the DNC, that he would not actively campaign against her. But to me, the indication is if you don't see Bernie Sanders down there, mixed with him not mentioning Canova, mixed with him not sending any recent fundraising emails, Bernie Sanders agreed not to campaign for Tim Canova down the stretch. That's really the only reason. You don't go from, calling for revolution, going on national television, supporting him, to then not showing up. And for those people saying, Bernie's been campaigning for a year and he's tired and he's been working on this organization. Listen, I've been traveling for 9 months. I get it. He's done a lot. But the bottom line is Bernie Sanders has a lot of fight left in him. If he wanted Tim Canova to win, he would be down there. Trust me. If he wanted Tim Canova to win, or Tim Canova winning was more important than some deal he made with the establishment Democrats, he would at the least be sending fundraising emails out, going on TV and mentioning Canova. Definitely mentioning him in a speech to thousands of people on the internet. So you could take my opinion, my guess for what it's worth. I'm not attacking Bernie Sanders because I respect Bernie Sanders. It's been an honor to cover Bernie Sanders. Like I said in a previous Facebook post, the world isn't black or white. Bernie has his reasons for doing things, but at the end of the day, I like Game of Thrones. I love war movies. He left Tim Canova kind of stranded on the battlefield alone. Again, totally willing to come out and eat crow if I'm proven wrong. And if Bernie in the last hour goes down there and campaigns for him, but it's getting to the point where it might be too little too late. My gut is that Canova is probably down by 5 to 7 points down there. So Bernie Sanders could help. Bernie Sanders is more popular right now down in that district than he was during the actual primary, where he lost to Hillary Clinton by a good 20 percentage points. It's also shown in polls that a lot of the constituents there have soured on Debbie Wasserman Schultz because of her actions with the DNC, her unethical actions, many would say. So there is opportunity for Tim Canova to win this race. I covered Tim Canova's volunteers canvassing around, knocking on doors. They're going heavy towards African Americans, Latinos, people who generally don't vote. Another thing, the last election, there was only 11% of this district that turned out. So if turnout goes to 15, 16%, that could be the difference for Tim Canova. So the bottom line is, I get it. Bernie will be campaigning and supporting many other candidates, and the whole movement does not rest on Tim Canova. But listen, if you watch 2IT Politics, if you watch me, you know that I don't bullshit. I tell you who I support, what issues I personally support, but that doesn't mean I'm going to be a shill. So when Bernie Sanders is wrong, I'm going to say it. And to me, you can't call for revolution and then make deals with the establishment and not show up for one of the bigger battles in your revolution. Because make no mistake, this is a huge battle. Tim Canova, I saw it myself, is getting flooded on TV. Right now, he's getting outgunned by Debbie Wasserman Schultz. There's also some shady business going on down there where his signs are being brought down. There's been messages of white vans, showing up and taking signs down. There's been seniors called and others called saying don't vote this August, wait till November. So there are voter suppression tactics underway. So, Doesn't make Bernie a bad person, doesn't make him the devil, doesn't mean he sold out. But to me, there's only one reason for Bernie Sanders to go silent in terms of Tim Canova, and that's because he made a deal. And that's unfortunate. Obviously he is a politician, and sometimes you do need to make deals for thinking in the long term. But at the end of the day, unless Bernie Sanders has some secret information that Tim Canova is going to lose by 50 points, this is a live election in 5 days, and Bernie Sanders is the biggest figure in this movement. And Debbie Wasserman Schultz, in my view, is the number 2 most hated person among the progressive movement. And she is a symbol, along with Hillary Clinton, for what the progressive movement is fighting against. So Bernie going kind of absent and dark in this, very important hour will be troubling to many. It's a little troubling to me. But again, I think there's going to also be many fights ahead that Bernie will be there, and that hopefully the progressive movement will be behind. But at the end of the day, there really is no explanation for his disappearing act. There's been some reporting that his organization, Our Revolution, has had some internal struggle with some of the staffers actually quitting before it launched because they did not want to work under Jeff Weaver. Jeff Weaver was Bernie's campaign manager during the presidential election, and Bernie originally told staffers that Jeff would not be running Our Revolution, which is a separate progressive organization. And then last minute, Jeff Weaver was brought in to run the organization. A lot of the staffers, some who I'm actually talking to behind the scenes, were not happy with some of the fundraising models Jeff had in mind, which included trying to raise money from, frankly, millionaires and billionaires. There was also some concern about ways that some donors might not be disclosed, which obviously goes against the DNA of Bernie Sanders and what he has campaigned for and believes in. So I'll do some separate reporting on that. But at the end of the day, the primary for Tim Canova versus Debbie Wasserman Schultz is August 30th. That is on Tuesday. I guess technically there's still a chance for Bernie to go down and campaign, for Bernie to send an email or two, for Bernie to go on TV, and I will be the first one happily to say I was wrong. Bernie came through. But as of now, based on last night's live stream where he, listed off 5 of the progressive candidates that are noteworthy, he failed to mention Tim Canova. And since then, unless I'm missing it while I speak, he has not sent out an email on behalf of Tim Canova, and he certainly hasn't gone down there to campaign. So I'm not going to sit here and, kiss Bernie Sanders' ass. If he's wrong, he's wrong. And I believe in this case, he is wrong. So that's my take. I'll be doing some additional reporting. There's going to be more videos coming out from Emma, my colleague, and my trip down there. So stay tuned for that. I just posted what I think is one of the more kick-ass interviews I've ever done with an Alan Grayson supporter. She's a lovely senior citizen woman who, kind of talked about, kind of gave a little tough love to her fellow senior citizens who are drinking the establishment Kool-Aid. She also said Obama has no balls, but look at Grayson's shoes. Maybe he does. So I would encourage you to watch that. It's up on TYT Politics. I just put it up like an hour ago. There's other videos. My sit down with Alan Grayson, which got picked up by a few websites. My interview with Tim Canova, where he literally calls out Bernie and says, "I'm waiting for your phone call." A lot of great stuff from my trip down covering Canova and covering Grayson. And there's going to be more going up. So thank you for watching, guys. As always, my Twitter is @JordanChariton. And I will be doing more Facebook Lives, and keep in contact with me. I'm back on Long Island, so if any of you live in New York, reach out to me on Facebook. Would love to meet up. I am newly single, so looking for some new things to do to keep busy. If you want to know the truth, other than working, I was, hanging with my girlfriend of the last year, but that is over now. So looking for some, cool people, new friends. Meet some ladies, if there's some nice girls. I always try to keep it real. So anyway, that's the deal. Have a great day, guys.